What if I told you there's a tiny stock trading for just a few cents right now? A company most investors completely ignore. But behind the scenes, it is trying to build something much bigger than its price suggests. And here is the shocking part. It has already been involved in some of the most volatile moves in the energy sector. Most people never even notice it until it suddenly spikes. And by then, it is already too late. This is not your usual boring stock story. It is full of hype, risk, and hidden potential. And the crazy part is most people have no idea it even exists. But what if I told you this unknown stock has already attracted massive trader attention multiple times? And every single time it surprised the market in both directions. This company is not focused on just one industry. It is trying to operate in oil, gas power systems, and clean energy all at once. That kind of mix sounds powerful, but also extremely risky. And here is where things get interesting. Because companies that try to do everything usually either explode upward or collapse completely. Because when a company tries to do everything at once, it often struggles to do anything properly. And that is where the real debate around the stock begins. But despite that, traders still keep coming back to it again and again. While big energy companies spend billions on clean technology, this small player is trying to enter the same race with limited resources. It is chasing big ideas like grid protection and energy innovation, and you might be wondering, how can a small company even compete in a race dominated by giants? And that is what attracts traders to it. The idea that something small today could become something huge tomorrow. But potential alone does not guarantee success. In fact, most of these potential plays never reach their promise, but a few do explode. There are also talks about advanced technologies inside the company. Things like carbon capture systems and power efficiency solutions. These are areas the world is heavily investing in right now. And here's the twist. If even one of these technologies works at scale, the entire story could change overnight. But the truth is, most of these projects are still early stage. They are not fully proven in real commercial markets yet. And that creates uncertainty for investors, and uncertainty in the stock market is where both massive opportunity and massive risk are born. Now here is where things start to get interesting. Because despite all the risk, the stock still moves like crazy in the market. Sometimes it jumps hard on news and hype alone. And when it moves, it doesn't move small. It can explode or crash within hours. And that is exactly why traders watch it closely. Volatility creates opportunity, but it also creates danger. One wrong move can wipe out gains quickly. But the real question is, why does this stock still attract attention despite all that risk? Before we go further, let's slow things down for a second. Because understanding this next part is important. This is where everything connects together. Because once you see the full picture, you'll understand why this stock refuses to disappear from the market radar. The stock we are talking about is Camber Energy, and this stock is currently trading at $0.0327. A name that has already created massive hype cycles in the past. And every time it does, emotions take over the market. And when emotions take over, logic usually gets pushed aside. Camber Energy is not a stable blue chip company. It is a speculative energy play that attracts attention because of its price movements, not because of consistent profits. And that distinction is extremely important if you're thinking about this stock. It operates through different energy-related segments including oil, gas, and power solutions. But what really drives interest is its push into emerging clean technologies. And this is where the future story begins to form. The idea behind Camber Energy is simple. Acquire or develop technologies that could scale in the future. Things like carbon capture and grid protection systems. But here is the real question investors ask. Will these ideas ever fully scale or stay stuck in development? If even one of these ideas works at a large scale, the upside could be massive. But that is a big if and not a guarantee. And in the stock market, if is where most risk hides. The biggest issue investors point out is financial stability. The company has struggled with consistent profitability. And in many cases, it operates at a loss. And when a company is not consistently profitable, every growth story becomes harder to trust. That means it often depends on raising money to continue operations. And when that happens, it can lead to dilution for existing shareholders. And dilution is one of the silent killers most beginners don't notice until it's too late. Now think about this carefully. Would you rather invest early in something risky with huge upside potential? Or wait until it becomes stable but more expensive? That is the emotional trap every trader faces. Fear of missing out versus fear of losing money. That is the exact decision traders face with this stock. Early entry can mean big rewards, but also big losses if things go wrong. And this is where most people get caught in hype cycles. Market sentiment also plays a huge role here, because stocks like this do not move purely on fundamentals. They move on attention, hype, and momentum. And attention in today's market spreads faster than ever before. One viral news event or retail surge can push it up fast, but when hype fades, the drop can be just as fast. And that is why timing becomes everything. And that is why experienced investors stay cautious. They know that excitement is not the same as real value. And price spikes are not the same as long-term growth. But beginners often confuse movement with strength. But on the other side, risk takers see opportunity. They see a low-priced stock that could explode if the right catalyst appears. And sometimes, they are right. The global energy market is also changing quickly. Clean energy, efficiency, and carbon reduction are becoming major themes. Governments are pushing hard in this direction, and whenever a global trend forms, small companies try to ride that wave. And companies like Camber Energy are trying to position themselves inside that trend. Even if they are still early in development, an early-stage positioning is both the biggest opportunity and the biggest danger. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a stock that is full of contradictions. High risk but high imagination, weak fundamentals but strong narrative. And in the market, contradictions often create the most explosive price action. And in the stock market, narratives sometimes move faster than numbers. That is what makes situations like this so unpredictable, because belief can sometimes outrun reality. At least for a while. At the end of the day, this is not a safe investment story. It is a speculative bet on future technology and execution. Nothing more, nothing less. And that is why discipline matters more than excitement in stocks like this. And that is why the real question is not what the stock is today. The real question is what it might become tomorrow. Because in this market, tomorrow is where fortunes are either made or lost.